those people have a job, most full-time. So we have a life, we potentially have kids, we have a mom and dad or in-laws or a close aunt or uncle that gets ill. How are we going to do all that if we're not prepared for it? That's what's changed for us. We're focusing on helping people get prepared.
And you've been doing a lot of public speaking to kind of get the word out, haven't you?
Been doing a lot of public speaking to service groups, to chambers, pretty much throughout the whole Bay Area, trying to get people that are watching this to understand it's not something I can do next week, something I can do next month. It's something you have to do now. As I mentioned before, I mean, a simple slip by an older parent, all of a sudden their life dramatically changes and your life dramatically changes. As we talked about, 50 million of these caregivers have a job. They have kids, they have a family, they have a leisure life that they like. What's going to give when someone gets ill or has a severe fall?
When this occurred to you, so it was, as you said, 3 parents between you and your wife, 3 parents in a 5-year span.
Correct.
Did you, the first time, I'm sure there was just so much difficulty. Did it get easier? Did you start to learn from your own mistakes by the time that you had lost the 3rd parent between, or was it better? And then probably the impetus for a golden hand, I'm sure.
It did get better. We did learn. We learned the hard way because we made a lot of mistakes. Some of them because we didn't understand. We didn't have a background 10 years ago in Elder Care 101A. We do now. And most of what we've brought to a golden hand is through our personal experience. Most of the things that we find with our clientele, we went through and we experienced. And we don't want to see them make the same mistakes that we made.
What happens then to a typical baby boomer like us who a parent falls ill and they haven't planned? What's typically going to happen? I mean, are they, as you had described, they're working and maybe even have kids, are they shuttling back and forth to mom and dad's place? What is going to happen if you're not really have a plan in store for this?
They're going to react, and they're going to react like we did. And most of the time you don't react that well. It affects your job. It affects every aspect of your life. You are shuttling back and forth. I've talked to individuals that live here locally in Danville. Mom lives in San Francisco. Dad has already passed. A typical day for this gentleman is leaving at 5:36 in the morning, going to mom's residence in San Francisco, going to his job in San Jose. He leaves his job in San Jose about 6 p.m. and reverses his footprint back to mom, back home, and the same thing the next day because of lack of preparation. Those things can be helped when you talk about this ahead of time and you understand not only what my role in this is, what are my sister and brother's roles in this? Even if they live out of the area, how can they help? How can they make this process easier for everyone, including the elder loved one?
Had they come to you, for that example, beforehand, would the suggestion have been to get mom closer to where they live? I mean, is that the sort of thing that you're saying before we need to do this, let's get mom closer? Is that the idea? One
of the first things we do when we do this elder life plan is exactly find out what the elder's wishes are. And sometimes that may be the thought process we go through to get someone closer, but they don't want to do it. So then there's ways we can help. Even though she's still living in San Francisco, the local kids live in Danville, other siblings live elsewhere. There are things that we can do to help so it isn't so difficult for the individual going from Danville to San Francisco to San Jose every day, because there's a process in place.
And that's what you're doing, is you're setting up, let's look at all of our options when this time comes.
Precisely. I mean, when we do this elder life plan, we look at a lot of different material, beginning with the elder's wishes. We also look at the estate plan. We're not trying to find out what mom's giving you and what mom's giving your brother. We're trying to find out if mom and dad have done an estate plan. Extremely important. We find out there was one done, but it was done in 1998. Well, it needs to be updated. We find out if mom and dad have done a financial plan. Maybe there's enough money to live on, but there isn't enough money if someone gets ill. Well, hopefully we're seeing them when they're still healthy themselves. And so we're off to about the half a dozen ways to finance long-term care, so when something happens, they're prepared for that. And one of the biggest issues that we focus on is what we call life stuff. And life stuff is all the things that surround mom and dad, like the fact this gentleman is driving from Danville to San Jose. For instance, let's say in another given situation, mom does want to move out of her residence. You sit back, you're happy she's taken care of, and all of a sudden you realize The house. Who's going to take care of the house?
Right.
We're going to sell it? We're going to rent it? How about the furniture? How about the car? Who's going to do all that? That's all put into place before something happens.
Life stuff. Well, it just sounds like everybody is going to be facing this at some point or another, so giving a Golden Hand a call would be the thing to do. This is Richard Wexler, founder of A Golden Hand. Check out their website, although it's going to be changing, so check it out now and then check it out in a couple weeks from now because it'll be different. www.agoldenhand.com, and the phone number there, we can give a toll-free number, 877-465-4265. Richard, thank you so much for coming on again and giving us a little bit more information on what's necessary. We're all going to be there.
Thank you. Very much appreciate it.
And that'll do it for this edition of Conversations. We'll do it again next week. Until then, I'm Robin Farr. Have a great day. If you'd like to order a copy of this show, please visit our website at trivalleytv.org.